Hello there. This is the next part to my installment for my Colorado vacation at the Colorado Railroad Museum. Just gonna take a look around at some of the equipment and ring that bell. So, come on. Let's take a closer look around at some of the stuff here. I've been here before once 3 years ago, and they've added some stuff since, and we'll be taking a look at pretty much anything that is of some sort of interest. So, shall we? So right off when you come from the depot, we see Brooks 1898 280 narrow gauge locomotive, number 30, built for the Colorado Northwestern Railroad in 1898. Later became Denver, Boulder, and Western Railroad. Then at some point became Colorado Southern number 74 in 1921, and in 1949 it became part of the Rio Grande Southern number 74. They allow people in the cab here. Now this is tight. Got all your controls right here. Compressors, enclosed cab. Yep. And here's the bell. That was nice. The coal tender there. And just on the other side here. Denver, South Park, and Pacific, originally number 51. Baldwin 1880, one of the oldest locomotives in the state of Colorado. Built as Denver, South Park, and Pacific 51, renumbered 191, and became part of the reorganized Denver, Leadville, and Gunnison Railroad. It became part of the Colorado and Southern by 1898 and was sold to a lumber company in Wisconsin for a while. Eventually, she was brought back to Colorado. There's the date, Baldwin 1880, 280 narrow gauge locomotive. Eventually, she was brought back here. One of a few surviving locomotives from the Denver, South Park, and Pacific. At least two, I think. And right next to 191 is Galloping Goose number 7. There are two more over by the roundhouse here. This is a passenger one, hence the back end of here with the curtains and everything. Built sometime in the 1930s in Ridgway, Colorado. I can't find much information of when these were built actually. Now this locomotive, which is right near 191, Chicago, Burlington, Quincy 5629, built by the CB&Q in 1940 at their shops in Aurora, Illinois. And I can see she's oil-fired with a tank in there. I always do my research before I go to these places. 484 Northern type. And this must have been quite the feat trying to move it here. Standard gauge locomotive, of course. Burlington route on the tender. And CB&Q. Manitou and Pikes Peak Railway, number 1. Baldwin 1893. And I believe, from what I could read, was rebuilt in 1897. So the piston moves this rod here, this rocks back and forth, and then that connects to the wheels. So it doubles back on itself actually. Oh, Here's another builder's plate, but it says 1923. Maybe it was rebuilt then too? This actually has a rack on it, unlike the other one I saw in Arizona, which you can check that video out later. There's one set of cogs on the front wheels, one in the rear. 042 side tank locomotive here. Alco Cook 1920 040 saddle tank for American Oil Company. Number 1, small thing. I'm gonna get as many steam locomotives as I can here. Standard Oil Casper Refinery. It says Indiana on the back here. And this coupler seems to work. That's pretty good. We got a pair of Shea locomotives now. You got West Side Lumber Company number 12 and number 14 over there. I can only go on one side of the engine because it's blocked off. So this is a 1926 Class C 3-truck 3-cylinder Shea built by the Lima Locomotive Works of Lima, Ohio. I don't have too much information right now. I neglected to do research on these two. And then this is a 1916 Class C Shea. So about 10 years difference between these two. 3-truck 3-cylinder is Class C. I'll probably make a video on Sheas in another time, so. This Argentine Central is a fantasy paint scheme. That was a railroad in Colorado. So, as far as I know, both these locomotives operated in the state of California, and I think these used to be on the Georgetown Loop Railroad at some point, but I'm not sure. They are modernized with air brake hoses and everything, so I presume that they were recently used. So, Union Pacific number 4455, another Lima product, but a standard locomotive this time around. Lima Locomotive Works, October 1920. Just a small 060 switcher, or at least smaller 060 switcher with slope back tender. Looks like it was coal. I don't see a tank in there. Walk around to the other side and also take a closer look into this. Inside valve gear. Wait, outside valve gear. My bad. Inside frames as standard engines go. Builder's plate. Yep, that's the inside of an engine. And this thing is quite tall. The cab, it needs a lot of work. This engine would need a lot of work to get it restored, but I doubt that would ever happen. Now we got 4 locomotives in this club. That's the diesel back there, operating the train. So 491 is a 1929 282 locomotive built by the Denver Rio Grande Western Railway. Operational, but looks like it's going under some maintenance at the moment. Got 491 here, and then number 20, Rio Grande Southern, Florence and Cripple Creek engine, number 20. By 1916 became part of Rio Grande Southern. And this locomotive is now operational. Oh, I love to see this thing go. Nice 460 narrow gauge engine. Schenectady Locomotive Works, 1899. Now, pièce de résistance around here. Pardon my French. Denver Rio Grande Western 346. Let's see here, I have notes with me on my phone. 1881 Baldwin 280 locomotive. Narrow gauge, of course. Got 3 narrow gauge engines. And here, on account of the pushed-in wheels, which I will show you in just a second, is 491's tender. Filled with a lot of coal. Huh. And finally, originally Florence and Cripple Creek engine, now, or at least later, was Denver and Rio Grande Western, and at some point numbered 318. I need to check my numbers on that. Baldwin, 1896, narrow gauge 280 type. There were tons of these engines back in the day here. So I got 318, 346, 20, and number 491. Now, this is some equipment that wasn't here when I was here last time in 2018. Manitou and Pikes Peak Cog Railway, one of the old motor cars. Can't really, oh, there it is, number 7. I think this is the first locomotive of the Pikes Peak Cog that's actually diesel powered for passenger use, or at least petroleum product powered of some kind. Whether that's diesel or gas, I'm not sure, but it is powered by Cadillac. Here's Denver and Rio Grande Western 683, a Class C 28 standard gauge locomotive built by Baldwin Locomotive Works in 1890. Later in life, it served on the San Luis Valley and Rio Grande Railway, or something like that. This is the only surviving Denver and Rio Grande Western standard gauge locomotive, period. Inside frame, inside valve gear. Considering it's 1890, I'd expect that. 683. Here's 2 galloping gooses. See my video about the Railway Museum in Ridgway, Colorado for the original goose, or at least a makeup of the original goose. So we have Rio Grande Southern number 2 mail car and number 6 platform car here. It's built sometime in the 1930s in Ridgway, Colorado. We also got some more Pikes Peak equipment here. Here's motor car and coach number 9. This part is the locomotive. There's all the engine and everything inside of here. And then the rest of the car is passenger. Oh, gravity. Oh, this is coach 12. Okay then. And just pushed by gravity. Okay. Locomotive and coach. So this is very nice. See the top line here? Just extra windows for viewing pleasure. And here's the end of the video. So thanks for watching the tour of the Colorado Railroad Museum. Better get back to where the rest of my family is at this point. So just wrapping it up right now. Thanks for watching. Do please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment down below, tell me what you think. Stay tuned for the next part of my Colorado trip. And until next time, thank you for watching and God bless. Denver Garden Railway Society, DRGS. You got some live steam going here. G-gauge live steam. Going pretty fast.